Okay, hi everyone. Let's take a look at this weighted average cost of capital that asks us to determine the company's cost of equity capital. We've got the David Ortiz Motors Company. They have a target capital structure of 40% debt and 60% equity. The yield to maturity on the company's outstanding bonds is 9%. The company's tax rate is 40%. Now they know that the overall company's weighted average cost of capital, or WACC for short, is 9.96%. What's the company's cost of equity capital? Okay, and then down below in the problem, you see I've dropped in a couple formulas. Now in this case, the weighted average cost of capital can be reduced to two terms. The weighted average cost of the debt, and in the case of debt, we multiply the rate on the debt minus 1 minus the tax rate, right? And the weighted average cost of common equity. There's no preferred stock, so we can leave that off. Okay, and then also note that the after-tax cost of debt is sometimes referred to as K little sub d, 1 divided by T, and sometimes you'll see it as an R as the requirement, okay, or the rate, excuse me, rate on debt in place of K sub d. So both of those symbols are used. And the required return on common equity, I don't think we even need it in this case, but the formula for that one is next year's dividend divided by the current price of the stock plus expected growth. All right, well, I've worked this a little bit ahead of time, and I'll show you that we can use the weighted average cost of capital formula and just solve for the unknowns. All right, well, what do we know about the weights? Let me bring those to light. I think this is the font color, right? We know that debt is 40%. There's no preferred stock, and I see I have this spelled incorrectly. Let me fix that. Okay, we really could leave this row off entirely, but I'll leave it at 0. And that's 0% in common stock is at 60%. Okay, then they tell us we have to calculate the cost of capital on debt. Preferred stock at 0. We'll bring that one in. And the two unknowns are the required, the rate of return, the cost of capital on common stock, and then the weighted average portion. But we know that overall it's worth 9.96%. Right, now this one should equal 100% if we've done it right. And then we need to solve for a couple other items. Well, I worked this ahead of time, but let me show you how we would do this. I'll hit the F2 key. You'd take the 9%. Now you can either look above my mouse here or up here on the formula bar, right? But you can take the 9% given as the yield to maturity on the company's outstanding bonds times 1 minus the tax rate of 40%. And when you enter that, we get 5.4%. Then the weighted average cost of capital from the first term here is we're just multiplying the date, the weight, if you will, times the after-tax cost of debt. So if I multiply that across, I hit the F2 key, we just take what's in cell C16 times D16, and I get 2.16. Now we can copy that down, and we get 0, obviously, for preferred stock. All right, so now let's just do a little bit of the calculations, maybe off to the side or down below. Let me move this over. We know that that's 9.96, and that's 2.16. So we can solve for this one right here, and maybe I'll do it right here where we have it on the screen, simply by taking the 9.96 less the 2.16, right? Okay, now once we have that, and I'll format it correctly, we'll go to 2 decimal places, I come up with 7.8%. Okay, so at this point, we can drop 7.8% in right here. Since we know that's the right answer. Might have a little problem with the formula. Nope, that should work. And then the only thing, oh, I'm sorry, I got that in the wrong row. My apologies. We should be able to drop that or move that right over here. And then I'll take, this is just a label I put on top. So now we have the 7.8. And so now what we've got to do is we say, well, 7.8 was equal to 6 divided by RS. So to calculate the cost of equity capital, we just simply take the 7.8 and divide it by the 9 or divided by 60%, right? Because this cell times this cell equals that cell. So if we take that divided by this, we can come up with the answer, and I'll eliminate that label, bring that color to light, and we get 13%, and that's the answer. Okay, so E18 divided by C, it was cell E18 divided by C18. All right, now I'll bold that one because that was the answer we're looking for. And that's all that's involved in solving this problem, everyone. Now you could do this with pure algebra rather than laying it out in this way um, um, in Excel, but I prefer to sort of break it into pieces and use Excel to help us solve it. Okay, I hope that helped, everyone. Thanks.